Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the absolutely incredible story of Wur Deng. Imagine having to build a map for your own life, literally from scratch, all while surrounded by unimaginable conflict. His story, it's just such a powerful lesson in resilience and really what education is all about.
Just let that sink in for a second. I was on a blind date with my own life. No map, no path, no idea where you're headed. This is the metaphor Wur Deng uses to describe how his life began, and honestly, it's the perfect way to frame the journey we're about to explore. So that leads to this central question, right? How do you build a future when you've lost, well, everything? His entire life was shaped by this question right from the chaos of a civil war. And what's so amazing is that his story doesn't just leave us hanging with the question, it actually gives us an answer, piece by painstaking piece over the course of decades.
All right, so to really get how he answered that, we've got to go way back. Let's start at the very beginning. The year is 1985. We're in South Sudan, and a single stark choice, literally between life and death, is about to change everything.
This moment right here, for a young Wur Deng, seeing all his family's belongings go up in flames, it wasn't just about losing stuff. He describes this as the genesis of my life's uncertain journey. It was this violent, fiery moment where his life was just suddenly cut loose from everything that was familiar.
And this next part, it's just chilling. He said death was more magnificent than life. Just try to wrap your head around that for a second. How absolutely dire does your situation have to be for death to seem like the better option? It's almost impossible to comprehend, but that was the reality he woke up to every single day.
So you can imagine, with a survival rate hovering somewhere near zero, his parents had to make a completely impossible decision. And the choice they made, he would later call it priceless. They sent him and his brother away to North Sudan just so they could survive. And that single act of love, it absolutely saved his life. But it came at this unimaginable cost that he wouldn't even understand for years. He was sent away for a chance to live, not knowing that the war would take his parents and 3 other brothers. He was starting this new life as an orphan, and he had no idea. Okay, so how do you even begin to find your way when you have no map? Well, it turns out he wasn't completely alone. At these really critical moments, people just appeared. They didn't hand him a fully drawn map, but they gave him directions, just enough to help him take that next vital step. And this is where we get to the idea of the helpers. This is such a key insight from his story. We tend to think of resilience as this thing that's purely internal, right? Something you either have or you don't. But for Wur Deng, it was also a structure built by other people, an actual infrastructure for survival that later became an infrastructure for achievement. Just look at this list. This network of support is incredible. It literally stretches from Sudan all the way to the US. You've got Abraham Gama, who enrolled him in school and gave him his first job. Father John and the church provided a monthly stipend that let him get through high school. And then, fast forward years later, he's in America, and his supervisor at Target gives him the flexibility he needs to go to college. Even the writing center at his community college played a huge role. Each one of these was like a crucial link in a chain. And that's why he says this, which I think is so important. He makes it clear that while his own personal fortitude was essential, that consistent external support played an equally critical role. It wasn't one or the other. It was this powerful partnership between his own inner strength and the community that rallied around him.
So with that foundation, with that support system in place, Wur Deng's own personal drive just took over. And his pursuit of knowledge, it wasn't just, a goal. It became this relentless, lifelong climb.
Wow, okay, this timeline really tells a story, doesn't it? We're talking decades of pure, unwavering dedication. It starts in the early 90s in North Sudan, goes all the way through university there. Then 2004, he immigrates to the United States. Think about that huge leap. And he doesn't stop. He gets an associate's degree, a bachelor's from Purdue, a master's from DePaul, and now he's even working on his doctorate. The pursuit just never, ever stopped. And that's the thing, right? When you look at that timeline, it's easy to think it's just about collecting degrees. But for Wur Deng, education was so much more than that. It was fundamental. It was how he was going to rebuild his entire identity from the ashes. Really, it all comes down to this one powerful word: agency, the ability to make your own choices. When your life starts in total chaos and war and circumstance are making every decision for you, how do you get that back? For him, education was the tool. It was the pathway to reclaim control, to find purpose, and to finally make his own free choices. And this comparison, man, it just says it all. Look at the contrast. On one side, no map, an unaware orphan with a survival rate near zero. On the other side, building the map, a doctoral candidate, a university graduate, a YouTube educator, an author. The transformation is just staggering. He didn't just find a map somewhere. He had to draw the whole thing himself from scratch. And here's where the story really comes full circle, which is so cool. After building his own map from nothing, what does he do? He turns around and starts creating maps for other people. Through his YouTube channel and his website, he's dedicated to making learning accessible, using his own incredible journey to light the path for others. So, after hearing all that, what is the big takeaway? What's the lesson for all of us from this unbelievable story of building a life from nothing? It really boils down to 2 simple simple but incredibly powerful steps. Step 1, believe in yourself. You have to have that personal fortitude, that inner fire. But step 2 is just as crucial. Seek and accept help. Building a future is never a solo mission. He is living proof that resilience is both a personal fight and a community effort.
And that really leaves us with one final thought. Wur Deng took that blind date with his own life and turned it into this incredible journey of purpose. He drew his own map against absolutely impossible odds. And his story, I think, challenges all of us to look at our own lives and ask that same simple question. What's the first step on the map that you're building?